ASEAN is pushing for a coordinated response in the face of U.S. tariffs, even as some member states are working on bilateral deals with Washington. Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says these efforts are not mutually exclusive. Mr. Wong made the remarks to the media at the end of the two-day ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Metteo with more.
Trade tensions and geopolitics took center stage at the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong called for a united ASEAN response following sweeping U.S. tariffs that have hit member states unevenly. Some, like Vietnam and Laos, are facing tariffs of over 40%. Amid this, some ASEAN states are looking to strike their own trade deals with Washington. When asked if these approaches are contradictory, Mr. Wong says ASEAN is made up of diverse countries and they can engage the U.S. bilaterally and collectively.
In fact, they are complementary and I would say reinforcing, because actually we are not at cross purpose. Whether engaging as individual member states or engaging as ASEAN, our objective is to reduce barriers with America, to reduce trade and investment barriers.
At the summit, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim also suggested the idea of an ASEAN-US summit. Mr. Wong says while the U.S. could be looking at speaking to countries one-on-one, that doesn't mean the U.S. does not want to engage ASEAN as a group.
At this stage, maybe ASEAN is not uppermost on their minds, but certainly we would like America to be engaged in the region, and when America is ready, we will welcome that engagement with ASEAN.
Mr. Wong said he had a good chat with Chinese Premier Li Qiang, who was in the city for the ASEAN-GCC-China Summit. He said they discussed China's recent talks with the U.S. While the superpowers have paused new tariffs, current ones remain high.
There are concerns still, despite what has been reached. Despite the deal that has been reached, there are concerns about the way forward. But it also means for Singapore, we will just have to redouble our efforts to work with like-minded partners to strengthen our trade and investment linkages with countries that are prepared to do so with us and continue to find ways to steer our economy through these challenging times.
Mr. Wong says in trying times like these, it's key for ASEAN to strengthen existing ties and build new ones. For example, Singapore hopes to upgrade its free trade deal with the GCC. And Mr. Wong says ASEAN can build on this momentum and work towards a free trade agreement with the Gulf Cooperation Council as a bloc. For the first time, ASEAN also held talks with both the GCC and China. It's now looking to upgrade its free trade agreement with China too. And by working more closely through regional deals like the RCEP, a trade pact among 15 Asia-Pacific countries, it hopes to boost economic integration and cut tariffs in the region.
So if the three parties can come together to have a trilateral FTA at some time down the road, ASEAN, GCC and China, I think that would be even more effective. Of course, the more ambitious plan is to think on a larger scale, not just China, but RCEP, RCEP, of which ASEAN and China are part of. And if RCEP and the GCC can come together to form some form of a partnership, I think that's significant because collectively, the RCEP and GCC economies make up 35% of the world's GDP.
Mr. Wong says ASEAN must step up and carve out a clear role in this new world order or lose its relevance. He is glad that the ASEAN leaders saw the urgency of this work to push for closer integration. ASEAN leaders usually meet twice a year, with the first summit focused on setting the agenda and community building. But this year, it also saw meetings with external partners, highlighting the bloc's push to expand its global engagement. We can expect to see even more of that in the second summit later this year. Metteo, CNA, Kuala Lumpur.
PM Wong outlined three key areas for ASEAN to work with China, and they include projects under the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, strengthening trade and investment links, as well as new areas such as digital economy and renewable energy. Now, he made the comments during the ASEAN-GCC-China Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Mr. Wong says ASEAN and China links go back a long way. The ties have grown from strength to strength since 2021. He says the group is moving forward from these strong foundations and the three regions should do more together. Mr. Wong has called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the safe return of hostages. He said this during a summit between ASEAN leaders and Arab nations, including Saudi Arabia and Oman. Now, Mr. Wong reiterated Singapore's support for a negotiated two-state solution between Israel and Palestine, calling it the only viable path to lasting peace. He asked all parties to respect international law, including humanitarian principles. Mr. Wong also highlighted areas where ASEAN and the Gulf Cooperation Council states can deepen ties, and that includes trade and investment and a possible free trade agreement. He said such a deal could lower tariffs and strengthen regional supply chains. Other areas of cooperation include clean energy and sectors that support the digital economy, such as cybersecurity and cross-border data flows. Now, this meeting builds on the momentum of ASEAN's first summit with the Gulf Cooperation Council 2 years ago. Then, leaders discussed ways to work closer together in areas such as political security, economy, connectivity, and tourism over the next few years. On the sidelines of the summit, Mr. Wong met with the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, for the first time in his capacity as Singapore Prime Minister. He says both countries share strong and long-standing ties. Mr. Wong also met with Bahrain's Crown Prince and Prime Minister, Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa. He notes that both Singapore and Bahrain are small island states of similar land size. He says they share a common goal to stay relevant and contribute to the world. Mr. Wong says there is much to gain from exchanging experiences and best practices. He hopes to work closer with Bahrain moving forward.